Good evening, Gooners. Welcome to Cannon Fodder TV and the big Sunday show. A disappointing uh, day today, to be fair. But look, it's been a decent start. So obviously we're going to get straight into the match after this short little intro. Yeah. Hi everyone. Yeah, it's just a loathsome again tonight. It's very short notice to kind of get everyone around after a disappointing result today. But look, I'm here, hopefully providing a bit of entertainment. But look, first first defeat of the season. We take it and we roll on. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel and kind of pull it totally apart because I don't think there was a huge amount wrong with the performance itself. I've seen us play a lot worse going to Old Trafford. Um, to come away feeling a little bit gutted that we've lost the game shows testament to how well we've actually played as a team. And look, it is what it is. But we've managed to kind of almost have a freebie as such. I don't like using freebie as a term, but we've got ourselves in a position to kind of say that yeah, if we do lose a game, then we haven't really lost a huge amount of ground. We're still top of the league, and we roll on. We roll on to next week. We go into Europe, and yeah, we see what's upon us then, and then we go to Everton, or Everton come to us, and we start again. But yeah, I look at today, and I was kind of dreading. I said in my little pre-match uh, video, or a little audio I made this morning when I was watching my boys' football, and I was speaking about that I wouldn't be surprised if we did go and lose to Man United. We haven't had a great time there recently, and in all honesty, I said we have done well, and if should we lose, yeah, I'm not going to be massively deflated. It's going to happen at some point, and yeah, we put in a decent performance, but we have lost. We come short again. Yeah, I was expecting a win. I'd gone for 2-1 Arsenal, and to be honest, for large parts of that, it looked kind of bang on that might happen. So look, a game of football's judged and decided by small margins, and there were those small details and small things within the game that kind of judged or finished the game, certainly as a contest in the second half. But yeah, first things first, really. It was a pleasing part to actually to go through and actually see about the starting lineup. And obviously, there was a lot of doom and gloom about players not being available. And yeah, we were thinking that this was going to be a real kind of struggle because yeah, we're talking about you got Ramsdale out, Ben White, Odegaard with a knock. There were all these kind of talks about the players are going to struggle. Is Zinchenko going to be fit? And it did look like potentially that we could be in for a bit of trouble. Obviously, I think that's kind of pushed the hysteria for signings at the end of the window. But if we obviously have those players fit and available, then it makes that kind of moment that not too much of a worry because look, we have got players available. You have got, say, like your Fabio Vieira to come in, and again, Sambi with game time. It's one of those, but this was the lineup that we were presented with in the afternoon, and yeah, we knew they travelled, but again, you wanted to understand how fit they were as players. Obviously, bearing in mind Zinchenko, Ben White, Ramsdale, how much training they had after the game on Wednesday, and involvement with the first team. We don't know, and what we also don't know is how really fit they actually were. And it's great to see them in the lineup, but yeah, we didn't know how well they would have been, and how good and fit they would be able to, and certainly how long they'd be able to last in the game. But as I say, if they are available, that team does pick itself, and I've said numerous times, it will pick itself there. Sambi coming in for Partey, and it is a decent side. So yeah, it was it was nice, and the confidence there was buzzing as soon as you've gone into the game. I thought we controlled the ball very well. I think we had a very, I wouldn't say very shaky first 15 minutes, but it was one that where we had to kind of quieten down the crowd and get involved in the contest, and that means actually just getting at them, taking control of the ball, and just trying to impose yourselves on them. And it didn't really happen straight away, and it was a bit of a struggle, but we eventually started taking a grip of the ball, and we started looking for opportunities. And yeah, we got a bit of a bad run, to be honest. I look at the first the first real moment where we kind of, yeah, I don't I still, what I like to do is watch those games back time and time again, and actually just try and remember little bits. But as the game went on and on, and it was just one of those, we got into the game, and we wanted to carry on playing, and we got some joy, but VAR once again, um, just one of those frustrating things where we've got ourselves in a position, and we've seen so many times where we seem to be on the, or at the brunt of decisions. And I'm not talking about just, I mean, just, yeah, decisions from the referee, red cards, or whatever. But I'm just talking about just general kind of decisions. We had decisions that went against us against Aston Villa, and we look at what happened today, and you have to just question the consistency in those decisions. And yeah, I'm not going to beat around and say it's an excuse, because I'm not looking for excuses. At the end of the day, the scoreline is Man United 3, Arsenal 1. That would say that Man United were the better team. On play, I don't think it was like that. But we certainly gave our best, and the move to get Martinelli on goal to score the goal that was chalked off by VR was a decent move. And I've seen fouls like that. Well, sorry, not fouls given, or not given against Arsenal when it's in that same situation. I also question whether or not, had that have been a home decision or a home attack, whether or not that would have been given or pulled back with the same kind of punishment. And I don't, I don't really get that, really, to be honest, because yeah, there time and time again decisions that are given in certain games, and then another game they're not given. And was that really a clear error. The referee hasn't seen it, and it's one of those where, yeah, he's been told to go back to the screen and have a look, but again, it's got to be a clear and obvious error for it to really have changed the decision. I don't think there was a huge amount in there. It's very soft, uh, but as I say, had it have been the home side going forward like that, whether or not that would have been overturned or pulled back, I don't believe it would. But that was one of those things, and it was well worked, and it was as we were just really kind of getting into the groove, and it was one of those where that could have given us a real platform to kind of go on and impose our game on them, because they were looking more and more shaky as it went on. Yes, they are going to pose issues for us because of the players they've got. Naturally, just because they didn't win or they lost the first two games doesn't make them a bad team. And it isn't just Man United, like all the other games that we've had. Um, so, yeah, the first goal just against the run of play. In all honesty, it was just one of those where we've just found ourselves a little bit. Well, I would probably say in a transition where we lose the ball to then trying to close the lines in midfield, and the ball just gets fizzed through. I think it went through Martinelli and Xhaka in the midfield into Fernandez, and as I say, once that happens, then the play's gone from the left back onto the right, and we have looked a little bit overrun, and the ball's obviously come through. Zinchenko's tried to cut it out, and it has come through. And to be honest, all Anthony's got to do is just redirect it to the other side of the goal. I've got no blame on Ramsdale. I don't really think he's got a huge amount of chance. As soon as that ball's come and knocked back across, it's going straight across him again. Yeah, he could probably try and go the way of where the ball is, but in all honesty, he might be looking to try and maybe protect. He might be obviously thinking that he is going into his near post, but in fact, yeah, the way Anthony's body shape, he'd opened straight up and it was going in. So whether or not he would have got to it, even if he had gone the right way, you wouldn't have expected it to have happened. So that was a disappointing thing on the half hour, I think it was, and we pushed and we pushed on in the second half. We're still on the first half, and it was, yeah, more of the same really. And we just kept on going and keeping the balls moving, but we just looked a little bit off just in our final bits of play, and that's, I don't know. You're never going to get sharp play every single game. There's going to be times where we're going to be a little bit off. We're not going to be able to get the same kind of results that we have been doing, certainly when we play the bigger teams. And yeah, we're going to create chances, and it's just then how we finish. But yeah, when half time came around, was I nervous? No. Was I confident? I thought, yeah. I thought if we carry on playing the way we're playing, we're going to get more chances. We are going to open them up. But yeah, we just look at it like this, and it was just, yeah, half time, and we've got to do the same. And then once we get going more and more, then yeah, we will get those front players on the ball and hopefully test Man United's back line, because yeah, they did look a little bit ropey. And Jesus, I tell you, and Martinelli, they were kind of, it wasn't Martinelli as such, but Jesus, every time he had the ball going up against Martinez, he done so much more than what Aubameyang and what Lacazette had done when they were trying to hold the ball up. And you saw him playing high. He would pick up the ball, he would be bringing the ball down on his knee. And it was just, yeah, it's just really pleasing just to see that kind of quality from a small striker. And look, he can hold the ball up, and he can certainly do it. But in the second half, we just gilt edged a couple of chances. We had to remember the Odegaard chance, and it was sliced across goal. You're suddenly thinking another time maybe that's gone in, or certainly on target, make the keeper work. And then when the ball comes again, it gets fizzed back. It gets fizzed back in across the goal, and that's the chance gone. But it was just it was a game. Just we were in control, and we get to that moment, and that was a key moment as well. When those goals come in, or those chances come in, we got the goal through Saka, which was again well worked, and it was a nice finish by him. But he got taken out as well late after putting in that little chance across the goal, and again wasn't really punished. Whether or not there was much in it, he got caught definitely, but look, we didn't even get a corner, didn't get like any decision. But it is what it is. But having scored that equaliser, 6 minutes on, we go and we then get the second goal going in, and it was just one of those just decisions where we've kind of just been carved apart through the centre of the pitch, and yeah, it's come from the boot of Ericsson straight into Martinez again through the centre, and the ball's just come straight through the centre, and Ben White just as he's sliding through, he's just deflected off the ground straight into the floor and over Ramsdale, and that I think just kind of knocked a little bit of stuffing out of us. And yeah, you looked at it like that, and it was just a real disappointment to see. So that was on around 65 minutes, and yeah, you look at it after that, it was just the same. We were still having the ball, but we then on 70 minutes made a triple change, and it was just you've got those changes coming in, and just bear with us a moment. Okay, so yeah, on 70 minutes, it literally changed a lot, with Smith Rowe and Ketia and Vieira coming on. Did it did it massively change the outcome? Yeah, we're 2-1 down, but what my only issue was whether or not those players that did come in and play were the ones that were kind of taken off. And were they struggling? Were they struggling at that time? Look, I've read things about fans saying, yeah, it's a mistake by Arteta for bringing on the free subs. Look, we've got to change it up. We've got to change it up 100%. And as I say, if these guys are struggling and potentially going to the red, yeah, they might not be fully percent. We don't know how fit they were. Maybe they could have only done 60 to 70 minutes, and they've all come on. And yeah, again, it's a double edged sword, isn't it? You either make the subs then, or if you leave it later, is why hasn't he changed it? Or if one of those players then gets injured because he's left it so long, it's a mistake then. because he's left it too late. And yeah, it was a mistake to play him. And it was one of those. You hope that there's no kind of real kind of issues, certainly after the game with these guys that have come in. But after that, we just got another sucker punch again, didn't we? And yeah, it was just more of the same, really. And to be honest, I honestly thought that Rashford would have been judged to be offside in that instance. It wasn't like it was a different phase of play. It wasn't as if he come back onside to then go again. He was offside at the start when that ball was played in that Ericsson had picked up, and he still carried on with it, and he still carried on his movement, and he was there to finish off the ball. So he could have been, well, you could say he was still interfering in play because he's there and he's involved in it. So you suddenly think, well, maybe that could have been looked at. But obviously, he's not interfering if he hasn't had the ball passed to him. So it was one of those 3-1, and that was that. And yeah, it was game over. And Ben White come off for Tomiyasu. By the and the game was done. Man United was shoring up with defenders, with Fred coming on with the midfield, and it just tied in everything up. And it just become more of a frustrating game with Man United playing on the counter attack. So you look at it at the end, and you see. One moment, I've got a little stat for you. If it comes through. There we go. And just to sum up, in the end of the day, it's look, probably can't remember the last time Arsenal certainly had more shots on target than, or more shots than Man United at home, and certainly with more possession than a Man United team at Old Trafford. So there is positives in this, and it isn't great knowing that we've lost the game. But look, I'm looking at the performance itself as a whole, and I can't be disappointed with the performance. I think the effort, and the way they started, and way they carried on going throughout, I thought was really pleasing to see. But at the end of the day, it does matter with the goals scored. But as I say, it doesn't lie. We're still there. We've set ourselves up, and we haven't lost any further ground on it. Really, to be honest, it's still too early to even start really looking at it and saying, yeah, we're top of it. I don't crow that we're top of the league. Look, 6 games. If you'd have said at the end of the start of the season that we would have been in this position, yeah, we only lost 1 game. We've only dropped 1 game where we've dropped points. Then I'd say fair enough. We've seen other teams dropping points with teams that we've played and beaten. So yeah, I don't find it too bad. But I'm just going to pop into the live chat at the moment. Richard seems to be the only one in the house. So anyone else watching, guys, get your thoughts into the live chat and let me know. But yeah, let's go. Yeah, so yeah, it's probably the strongest lineup we could have had. Yeah. And Zinchenko as defensive midfielder, Tierney as left back. Yeah, it's one of those how we want to play, and Tierney, I don't know. I'm not sure. He wanted to stay. He wants to stay wide, and that's the way he plays. Would that make us more open potentially going forward? Whereas Zinchenko being on the left, will be able to tuck in a bit more and certainly be a bit more freer. Would I say Zinchenko had the best game? Probably not. Did he look a little kind of rusty or a little bit off? Yeah, It's probably still a bit harsh because, again, you're playing a team that can cause you trouble. So, was it a real bad game? No, it wasn't. So, yeah, it's one of those. It's no real complaints about how we played or how we started. Yeah, 15. Yeah, they had the possession, but yeah, we didn't know nothing to write home about. There was nothing really in there which was making us real worried. Yeah, 100% there. But yeah, as Richard had said, it's more. Yeah, they were more clinical with the chances, and yeah, all three goals were. Yeah, they've just clinically taken, and yeah, if only we had a couple of chances where we were really kind of there in front of goal to finish off the job. Yeah, it goes to show when you have got lots of pundits saying that they found it very soft, that it was given. But yeah, this is why I say about if this was a home decision, I don't think it would have been given. And yeah, you look at it like that. Any kind of decision like that, I find just kind of always kind of goes the other way. Whether or not potentially we may have got it at the Emirates, as I say, you need to be shot. I think to get the decisions. And look, Saka with Mings on Wednesday, and you look at that, and you just suddenly thinking that was unbelievable, and how VAR deemed that as not worthy of the penalty or a foul anywhere on the pitch that is given as a foul. So yeah, inconsistencies all over, and as we've seen this weekend, there's been so many rubbish decisions by VAR, and we're talking about VAR looking to be improved every single year. I think it's got worse this year to start with, and we certainly haven't learnt lessons of previous years where we've had it and then tried to add bits to it to make sure it is better than the previous season, because yeah, it's totally regressed and gone backwards. Yeah, there were a couple of little players there. McTominay had one before he then wrestled the guy to the ground, and it was one of those where it was just, again, it's almost like you need more lives. That's what they've got. They're all, every other player is almost playing on two, three, four lives, and we seem to be on our last life all the time. And it seems that the silly kind of tackles or kind of shirt pulls get punished, and we get a yellow card. So yeah, I'm quite disappointed still, but yeah, the first half stat really was really telling as well, and you saw that, and yeah, touches inside the box. I think it worked out. Man United had 8. I think this was at was it a 1-0? Maybe at half time or just before half time. They'd had eight touches in our half, and we'd had 34 or so, roundabouts. So it does tell you that we were well in control. So yeah, but look, we've gone to Old Trafford and we've been dominant, but without that kind of final bit, and that's where we as a team need to improve. As a young side, yeah, we need to improve, but as a young side, we learn through this defeat, and they need to learn by taking those defeats. They'll learn from the ones from last season. But look, to go to Old Trafford and to lose isn't an absolute travesty. It's happened to many teams, but yeah, that performance itself warranted more for the group. But yeah, it's just one of those. But yeah, we look on to Thursday, Europa League, and Yeah, that's our next focus. But yeah, well, it kind of is VAR. Um, I feel that they've changed or seem to have kind of changed the offside, the way they look at the offsides again, and you're still seeing some really strange offside decisions being pulled back or allowed. And until they get this right and start using common sense, then it's it's going to be it's just going to be a rubbish kind of thing, which is taking away the whole kind of enjoyment factor of football. If we're going to judge offsides by, or certainly decisions in games of football by geometry and drawing lines and a line a couple of pixels away from the other line, then it's dead as a sport. I don't see any reason why you come away from that kind of advantage to the attacker rule if it's level or you can't tell. Look, it's easy to tell if they're offside without really drawing lines. I mean, if you can look at it in real time, two, three, four times, which you could probably do inside 10 seconds, you'll be able to say that's offside. So that's a clear and obvious offside. If we're level or someone's shoulder is slightly more forward than someone's big toe, then it is not obvious. And then it should be advantage to the attacker. But this is where it's crazy, and you see the decisions this weekend, and you saw the Villa goal, and what made the linesman really 100% unbelievably put his flag up and say, I'm 100% sure he was offside, when there was no chance he was offside. And this is where there is massive problems because, yeah, we've gone through the whole situation where we had them raising offside flags and then players stopping right at the start and then suddenly realising, hang on a minute, we've still got to play. Then you got to the point of that no one was going to flag. So then potentially players get injured by going hell for leather to try and win the ball, only for the flag to go up as soon as they're anywhere near the ball or it's near a goal. And then you get this little thing, and you're just suddenly saying, well, if we're going to run the game by drawing lines and we're going to judge it by pixels, then you may as well do away with those linesmen. There is no real point. You may as well have dumb linesmen, not actually linesmen there. I'm not calling them dumb. I'm just saying they're just dumb. So they're not actually linesmen. They're just no one there. It's all run on technology, and that's that. The referee will then speak to VAR or whoever's there. Yeah, is it offside? Yes or no? Done. And that's it. But yeah, it was a massive howler that was. And even the West Ham goal against Chelsea was unreal. And yeah, you look at that, it's just, yeah, how can that be given as a foul? So it is what it is. But yeah, we take it and we have to move on as a group. Yeah, we make sure we're solid in Europe on Thursday to then go to the Emirates and play Everton. And we need to get back on the run again and get the 3 points. Um, and then it all goes back to normality then. And we start looking again, and hopefully we should then have a bit more fitness in our players. And I think Thursday might be a good time just to see a few of the fringe players, and it will allow those people a little bit of rest time for the Sunday game against Everton. So yeah, it's never nice to come on after that because, as I say, I was gutted when it happened because yeah, I think we deserve so much more, but it is football, and yeah, we're governed by decisions, but yeah, if we're not clinical with our chances, we've certainly at least not got to be so easy to get through, and it showed the quality of Ericsson in all honesty. picking up the ball really deep and playing a pass through. And it's only taken 2 balls that have really come through. The third goal was one that was come from the wing side, and just players running in. It was that was it, and we kind of just got caught, and it was the first time I really saw our kind of back four that was kind of really turned into a back three, but a little bit disjointed and not together, not really communicating, and we just seemed to be a little bit over the place, and that's, yeah, it's not always a bad thing, but yeah, it's something to work on, and I'm not gonna beat everyone up about it. I don't think it was a bad performance. I don't think there needs to be hysteria on social media. Yeah, we've lost a game. We're gonna lose games, and yeah, we're gonna win games. Certainly, if we play like the way we did play, we're gonna win more than we are losing. And yeah, that's all I'm really going to say on the game itself. I thought we handled the occasion well. I thought the stadium was going to be buzzing anyway, just because obviously Anthony coming in on his debut. There'll be and it's up being Arsenal. Arsenal coming to the stadium. There's always a buzz in that stadium. They love to beat Arsenal, just through the rivalry, through the Ferguson Wenger years. It's always going to be buzzing, and we done our best to keep it quiet, but it wasn't to be, and we look at it like that, and we do just move on. But yeah, it was well taken goals. Yeah, you have to hold your hands up and just say, well, yeah, fair enough. They did finish well, and had we finished a couple of our chances with a bit more quality. Yeah, Smith Rowe had a chance when he come on, and it was just put over the bar. Who knows? Who knows? Another game we may have had a 2 goals, but had that VAR goal been allowed to stand, then again it's a different story. But small margins, and that's the way I see. That's the way I see it. Yeah, well, I say players have got a lot to do with the decisions. Yeah, I don't think Fernandez really played a massive help in getting that decision overturned today. He was in the ref's ear straight away, but he's always like that, and then he'll go down like anything, and very soft. So yeah, players need to be, well, certainly take a look at themselves, and yeah, I mean it shouldn't be on, but again, retrospective action. If we see a player doing that, why don't authorities call them out? Let's put them on a little charge. Let them know. Put them on charge. I want you to answer a kind of a charge on whatever, feigning injury or yeah, play acting. Get something in there to try and act as a deterrent. But to make the most of a little bit of contact is ridiculous, and yeah, it's just, yeah, it's not nice, and certainly when decisions go against you, it just makes it even worse. Yeah, indeed, we don't want to be that kind of same team that, yeah, we go on a little run, and we then back it up with multiple kind of defeats. Yeah, we're going to go through bad periods, 100%. That's part of being a team. Look at it. Look at the teams now that have had problems at this start of the season. Liverpool, whatever. It's, yeah, you're not United, obviously, at the start. You're going to go through these little peaks and troughs, and how we deal with it. Probably Europe is probably a good time to go and do it. It's a little bit of a refresher. Yeah, we've had this kind of thing, and it probably knocked a little bit out of the team anyway. Just coming away from that. If we're feeling deflated about the result because of how well we played and disappointed, imagine how they feel. after giving what they've given. So, yeah, Europe might be a nice welcome break, change of scenery, get the 3 points, have a little mix up, change it up about, and then we get back to the UK to then get on with that game against Everton. And yeah, it's just we've got to get back on, and we've got to get that winning feeling again, and that's the most important. And I think this season we've definitely got a bit more about us this season. But any any guys want to stick some or girls want to stick anything on the chat? Any questions? Let me know your thoughts, because if I'm only going to go on for another 10 minutes, if anyone's got any thoughts, any questions about the game, fire them at me. Um, yeah, and get some interaction going on. It's me and Richard at the minute. It's a good job. But yeah, straight reds for simulation. Yeah. That simulation rule is probably the most annoying one as well, because you're seeing it's used so inconsistently as well, because you're seeing players that are going down for penalties. The referees are not blowing for penalties. So if they've gone down for penalties, I think Xhaka got booked for it. Obviously, Xhaka would get booked for anything. If he blew off on the pitch, he'd probably get booked for that. But he went down, simulation, yellow card. But you see numerous times where players go down and the referee's like, yep, no, gone down. But, well, if he's gone down and he's really gone down and you're saying it's not a penalty and VAR have said, yeah, it's definitely not a penalty, then there should be a yellow card there, surely. It's a foul because you're trying to deceive. So that rule needs to be implemented a bit more, and certainly on a more frequent basis, and with less irregularities to it. Or it's just otherwise it's just pointless, and players are just going to go back into that mentality of I can get away with it. Yeah, you've got VAR to help, but again, if VAR say no penalty after it's dived, then yeah, that yellow card's got to keep coming out, even if VAR are not involved. If that referee thinks that he's dived, it's got to be a yellow card. And if it then goes to VAR and says that, yeah, no, it was actually a penalty, then it gets rescinded and taken off. But we've got to start getting in that habit of dealing with those players that are trying to deceive. Yeah, Thursday's going to be an interesting game, because one thing, you don't know what he's going to do, really, in all honesty, with regards to the team. I can see certainly. I think obviously Matt Turner's going to come in, so he'll be playing in goal. Ramsdale will get a rest and probably just finish off that kind of maybe rehabilitation from the knock he got on Wednesday. I'm not sure if it was still affecting him when he played, but he's a big player to play, and as a goalkeeper, you can kind of get around that if it is just like a little niggle. I can see Tierney 100% starting, because, yeah, obviously it wasn't involved today. So I would have him. I would have Holding. I would even give Tomiyasu a run out, and Suarez. So I'd potentially have Tomiyasu alongside Rob Holding, and then have Suarez on as right back. Then you've got potential that Vieira is going to come in. And then who do you add alongside? And does that mean the likes of Matt Smith comes in from the under-21s, and you suddenly think that is a potential? I have a slight feeling, I believe, that we're going to get some bad news with regards to Smith Rowe. it appears that he may have hurt himself in the warm down today. So that's come from David Ornstein. So hopefully it's just a feel. So he's felt something go, but hopefully it isn't too bad. The word distress looks or sends an alarm to me, which I think maybe he's actually pulled something, which obviously would rule him out of certainly this next week's fixtures. But yeah, we don't know. That would have been a game that I would have included Smith Rowe in 100%. So he would have had his game time. And in the end of the day, this is what we're talking about, getting the game time in for these players that haven't really played. And if he's now injured, it means those kind of games that he's going to expect to play aren't going to be available, just because he's obviously trying to recoup and get back again to get back in the team. So yeah, that's a disappointing one. So yeah, I think Nketiah will get the run out as striker, and does that then mean that still we go with a Martinelli, or we go from there? So I don't know. We'll have to just see what he says and who's still in a good place, because yeah, it is early on, but you look at what we've got potentially. As I say, Matt Smith could certainly come in that midfield. Then yeah, you've got maybe Taylor Hart. I don't know, or yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see, and just see what he looks at in all honesty, because you could band players around, but I don't know. We just have to see who's going to be available and who's going to be able to play. But I don't think we can go too inexperienced, certainly, because we've got to make it competitive. So it could be that we go and look at, maybe say, yeah, I'm trying to picture the players, but you're definitely gonna put Nketiah in there 100% for game time, because it'll be crying out for game time, getting on there. But yeah, I wouldn't like to comment on who else is going to come in. Yeah, there may be some other boys that he really thinks that are going to be good to kind of come in and do it. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a frustrating time, I think, for Emile Smith Rowe. It certainly has for the last 12 months, I think, for him, because yeah, he's gone down the pecking order a little bit now with him. But yeah, sorry, I forgot Marquinhos. Yeah, so it would be him on the right. But yeah, you're definitely looking at those kind of players that have kind of really been impressing in those early kind of performances. Yeah, so Matt Smith, yeah, I think Aziz has gone on loan, so he's not there anymore. So he's now in Ibiza, so he's playing for them. Walters, yeah, I saw a couple of the games he played in, and he was decent. But yeah, Marquinhos on the right for Saka, and then it's who comes in and fills the other gaps. But definitely the players that are in the background. Yeah, it's massively sad. It is sad. It's sad for him, because, as I say, see, this will be his game time now, and his only chance really to shine. And if he puts in performances that are glowing, then it's going to give him that chance. And he had today. Yeah. So it's one of those. He's just got to get fit and he's got to get clear of these kind of injuries. Rahul, do you think Edu bottled this window as our players getting injured constantly? This was another interesting point, and yeah, we obviously saw a lot of meltdown in the fan base about the lack of signings, or certainly the late or attempt to get some signings in. And just remember, it was only just under 72 hours that we actually realised or understood the full nature of the players injured. Obviously, we knew Partey was out, but then El Neni after the game against Villa, and you're suddenly thinking, yeah, it's late in the day. Once he gets the scan, and you look at it like that, and it's like it's late in the day for well, it weren't Villa, was it? It was out anyway. It was so, but it was one of those where whatever decision was made to bring in a player, we certainly weren't believing that we were going to be without two defensive midfielders being out injured, and certainly in the same kind of week. And yeah, it's one of those frustrating things where you could have them both fit, and we're ploughing along top of the league, and no one is batting an eyelid or really worrying about signings because everything's rosy. There's no injuries. We've got cover. It's only when suddenly they come up and then suddenly everyone's got to suddenly react really quickly to either inquire about players. Yeah, you can have your list, but then when you start going to other teams, we want to buy this player 48 hours before or 24 hours before the window closes. Those players, although exactly going to say, "Oh yeah, sure, we're gonna get rid of one of our best players, so you can sign him," because yeah, we haven't got any other players lined up. So they're always going to be there unless they've got a proper replacement for that player. They're going to say no, certainly this late in the window. So it's kind of one of those where it's really hard, and it always is going to be hard. You obviously need two sides to agree on those kind of deals, but it obviously needs to be the right time to do it. Villa aren't going to get rid of one of their players without having replacements, certainly where they are in the league. And yeah, if they get rid of one of their players, they've also got a sell-on clause, which was also a factor as well, a 20% sell-on fee as well. So whatever fee come in for it, they'd have had to pay Man City. So it's never easy. It's never clear. Do you think he bottled it? No, because I think, in all honesty, they've done another good job in the summer, and I take everything from what they've done with the squad from last season, the season before, to how it is now. I'm more happy taking this squad now as it is than I was. And obviously, we're seeing the final two ones that have just gone on loan, Maitland-Niles and Bellerin. And they're the final two that were kind of really kind of there, just kind of being on loan every season. And yeah, just kind of just taking a spot and just taking a cross. So yeah, I look at it like that, and I think they've done well. Look, we've got cover when everyone's back, and it's only going to be a couple of weeks, I would say, maximum for Partey to come back. And if he does come back fit, and we don't rush him, then he comes back and does the job up until November when we have the break for the World Cup. Look, we come out the World Cup and we go into the window. Yeah, the season starts back up. I think on Boxing Day, isn't it, or roundabouts? And yeah, we're straight back into another transfer window. So if there is any inkling that the squad is stretched, then what's the chances of us then going back in for Douglas and even Tielemans again? And if you're putting in bids the same price or similar to what you've been doing, it's going to be looking a lot more appealing than it was in the summer. Yeah, and if they don't take it, then that's their final chance where they could lose both of them for free. In all honesty, if it was Arsenal, and I'd be quite happy us waiting for maybe say a free signing. And it's been a long time since we've actually done that. And yeah, if teams don't want to sell to us, then we can't have any kind of further kind of like problems. I don't want to spend over the odds. And we're talking about, some people were saying, oh, why don't you just pay 45 million pounds for the player to get him in? It was like, well, he's got like 9 months left of his contract. Why would you be paying that much for that player just to get him on? But then you're suddenly saying, well, if everyone's fit, will he be first choice? I don't know. I don't know what his intentions of playing him would be. But would he get in ahead of Partey at this time? Probably not. Next season, would you say he could be, say, first choice? Then I'd probably say, yeah, because Arsenal probably might cut the losses with Partey next season just because of the injury factor. And obviously he'd be hitting 30 and moving on. And so all in all, we've got to keep it going. And it's another season, but it's another season where potentially those injuries could come back. And we know that he's been stuck with injuries. So do we just kind of get rid and we just cut the losses, and then we've then got a 25-year-old coming in who could make that position himself his own. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, cheers, Ralph, for the comment. Yeah, Salza on the left or Sousa on the left. Yeah, potentially he has had a decent time. Certainly in those games. So yeah, look, we've got the academy. We may as well try and use them, or certainly give them a chance to play. Whether or not Xhaka stays again, to be honest, if there was a player that would play every game for a club and not seemingly burn out or complain or kind of just shirk responsibility, then I would probably say he would be the one that would come in. And as vice captain or one of the captain, the leadership group, maybe he does come in. Maybe he's that player that stays in there. So yeah, who knows? Yeah, we don't know, but it would be nice if there was the rotation round, and so a few of those boys can just get a little bit of rest in the legs to go again and get that feel good factor back at home in a buzzing atmosphere again at the Emirates. And it just means then we get that feel good factor going on again. And that's what's important with everything. At the end of the day, we need the feel good factor back, and yeah, get rid of this kind of feeling, because yeah, that they are going to be low, and it's up to us fans to build them back up again and get them playing. Yeah, we go to Zurich, we then have Everton on Sunday at 2 p.m. and then we have PSV at home, which will be a tight game as well. I don't see that as being an easy game. So it might be that is an experimental team against Zurich, but I wouldn't have said that would have been a proper serious simple game to be up against. So we do have to have that little level of just the level of experience and then a bit of youth just to kind of bring them in. But after PSV, we then go to Brentford. So we know that there's a couple of big games on the horizon. And that's before we then have the North London derby, which is going to be an unbelievable game to go to. Would I have Jesus and Zinchenko and Saliba on the subs bench? Look, I could certainly see Saliba being on the bench, just 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 to be another or a third defender, maybe if needs must. Um, Jesus, I think, will always be wanting to run around and put his hand up, but Zinchenko being back from a knock, an injury, then I think they were rushed back. I think they weren't all fully fit, and that's why they only got say 70 minutes. But yeah, I see him. I see him off, and yeah, only available on Sunday where we go again. But yeah, definitely Saliba or and Jesus maybe on the bench, just to give other options. Yeah, do you think we should buy a couple in the January window? If so, who? Well, look, we've got two priority positions, haven't we? We've got to look at that kind of right wing position, and then also, yeah, this defensive midfielder cover. It all depends on how Partey comes back. If he comes back after this and he carries on playing all the way through till the shutdown, you suddenly look at it and you think, well, okay, do we need to really go for him? And if obviously El Neni comes back in that kind of period, yeah, he's out for months, but it might be only a couple of months. So if he does come back in, he's got the little break for the World Cup, and if he comes back, then that's great. That's two players there. We could test the club's resolve to try and get one of those boys we failed in on deadline day. But if they're not playing ball or they don't want to commit to it, then we've got an agreement with Douglas already with wages. So I'm sure a pre-contract kind of deal when he is free of his contract will be done. So for the summer. So yeah, I think a lot depends on what happens and how stretched potentially we get with injuries. Obviously, we've got to stay clear of impact injuries. That you can't really do too much with those. It's the fatigue and the muscle injuries that we've got to keep eye on, and the rotation side of things needs to be handled well. So yeah, I don't expect January signings. I don't. I imagine we may look to go and get someone. Yeah, there may be the inkling that we might look for another striker if one comes around. But yeah, it's one of those. It's either a winger, it's maybe a striker that can be that kind of third striker, um, and yeah, a midfielder if the price is right and they are available. But certainly, if they all know that we're after a player, that's given them the transfer window to look for a replacement for that player. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But there's a lot of football to be played before then. Hello, Andreas. Hope you're well, my friend. Agreed. So we just dropped there. We're back. We're back. Okay. Him and Tierney on the left. Who was that, Richard? Was that Souza? Yeah. How you doing, Monty? Yeah, Tierney and Party are always that kind of. They're always in that conversation, aren't they? players that we can get rid of to get some money. But this is all part of now the new structure, and hopefully this is how we now evolve. We've got players now that can be sold because with value, whereas we've obviously had years of getting very little value out of our players, playing staff, or none at all, as we've seen. But yeah, we can't keep paying players who are injured. And as I say, like what we've done with Jack Wilshere, we kind of almost had to say, well, you're either going to have to accept a bit part, or yeah, or you go somewhere else. So yeah, I can see that, right. I don't think Tierney as much as Partey, but I think Partey probably being older would be the one to make way. I think he's found the intensity of the Premier League and the constant pressure of being involved in Premier League as too much compared to La Liga. So yeah, it's one of those. It's just it's one of those where you've just got to just allow it just to carry on and carry on playing, get the experience, and just get used to the way Arsenal are playing, because Tierney's probably going to have to change the way he plays to suit how Arteta wants him to play in the system, and that's probably going to be his biggest change, or what he's going to have to try and do. But yeah, I think Partey, I think, is just the one that's a little bit, yeah, just a little bit out there, really. Just checking something there. Sorry. Right, where are we going? Next up, David Z. And Oz, though. I've never heard of him. I'll have a look at these and see what's going on. But yeah, look, we've got a lot of youngsters that could potentially come in, but it's just how we manage those. But it'd be good to see the mix, yeah, we've seen it before with the mix of experience and youth. So yeah, it will be nice. Yeah, we know the conversations probably have already been had about when their deals expire, and that'll be done. If there's a deal to be had in January, and yeah, they will be cheaper and it works for both sides, then it'll get done. But if not, then yeah, I'm sure that's been done. But yeah, Sosa and Tierney on the left would probably be a good shout, just to mix it up, and it's a bit of experience and a bit of youth. So yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, wide forward would be useful. Yeah, it's someone to mix up. I think with Saka, in all honesty. Um, I'm getting I'm not being negative. I'm getting fed up of seeing Saka going inside and coming inside on his left foot too much. Where I want to see someone using his right foot, getting on the outside and getting a ball from the byline whipped across and stretching those defenders. But for too many times we're kind of playing back into traffic. So yeah, it's something that Saka's going to have to add to his game. Just that ability to kind of use his right foot and get past players. He's just almost just overthinking it a little bit. I think too much sometimes, and the ball slows down, and he's not really going and attacking players as much as he used to. Whether or not that's a confidence thing, I don't know. But yeah, he just needs to get that. And this is what I say. This is what's going to change him from being a nearly player to one of those world class players or a very good player. So if he wants his contract and wants a contract that he can sign, whatever it is, then he's got to perfect these little bits that that he's struggling with. Richard said, "Yeah, hey, it's the full Monty. How you doing, Monty? Yeah, Monty. I hope you're well, mate. Moderator, Monty in the house." Yeah, Richard, been working. Yeah, hopefully resting now and yeah, enjoying the latter part of the evening. Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for popping on and watching the stream. Yeah, the next one will be a bit more packed with contributors. But yeah, if anyone wants to come on and talk Arsenal next week, please drop us a like and subscribe to the channel. Come follow me on Twitter and direct message me, and then we can go from there and get things sorted. But yeah, good to speak with other Gooners and yeah, get your thoughts. Yeah, it's first day at school. Yeah, my young ones are getting all ready now, ready to get in bed and going from there. But yeah, as Monty said, guys, please give a thumbs up and subscribe if you're a new watcher. Really appreciate it. Give us a subscription on Cannon Fodder TV, as well as giving us a follow on In the North Bank, and give us a follow on In the North Bank as well. As I say, really appreciate any support that you can give. So yeah, feel free. But yeah, I'm going to end it there, guys. It's been an hour and a quarter of me talking about Arsenal, and yeah, it's been good to speak to some of you, and yeah, hopefully I'll get a few more of you on, and if you want to talk Arsenal, come and get involved. But yeah, you're watching Cannon Fodder. I'm the Bray from In the North Bank. Thanks for watching the Big Sunday show, and yeah, we'll see you again. Cheers, Gooners.